Hey gang, Kevin here, Life22, and we are just waiting on our guest. This is our first Zoom meeting, so I figured I'd get the introduction started before, since the meeting started recording before our guest has arrived. Um, so Life22, and we're having Vernon Robinson Jr., the incumbent for Ward 6, on the show tonight. And we'll expect him momentarily. And in the meantime, thanks for joining us, and thanks for hopefully being participating in our first Zoom interview. All right, guys. Kevin back here after the intro, and I've got Vernon Robinson Jr., the incumbent for Ward 6 for the city of Olean. You can you can say hi,
I can,
Vernon.
I can say hi. How you doing, everyone?
So, so I pulled up your on my other screen here. I got your Facebook posts from like your ward.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yep.
Um, so July of 2020. That's when we had all the interviews for the after Rhonda Polido stepped down from the Common Council. I remember
Oh, yes.
I was on the board of three that like brought your
Yes.
not the nominations to the council.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, no, that's fun. We interviewed you, Luke Winkie, I think your competitor in the last two alderman races, and
Huh. I didn't know Luke Winkie was one.
oh yeah, no, he showed up in Paul Gonzalez and the mayor can both attest to this. He showed up in a leather studded, it looked like a biker jacket, but it was a suit and a tie with a black
Nice.
leather hat. Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, he
yeah,
was styling. He was
yeah,
styling.
right. As you can
Okay.
tell, that's why he did not get picked as the alderman.
Yeah. Yeah. To each
So,
his own. Yep.
right. So, um, what's that you? I mean, obviously, you probably are privy to more than I am on this particular race. Are there any petitions that have been circulated for any other competitors for your race?
I don't know yet. Like I said, when I first got on, I said no one should be going unopposed. I think
Sure.
we should have choices, and I've never feared anyone going against me. To me, it's not that kind of race or competition or anything. The people are going to put in there who they want to do things for them, and I just go from there. But I appreciate Peterson running the last two times because if you're just a walk in, then I don't know, it's
Right.
kind of what selection did anyone have for you to get elected. So if someone runs, they runs. If they don't, then I'll go in and keep doing what I've been doing. I think I've been doing a good job. I try, you know, um, so I just go from there.
You keep people on their toes. I always hear grumblings after a council meeting. So
Yeah, I know. And as you know, here's the thing though. It's not intentional. It really isn't. I go in there with a clean mindset. I have the ability to hit zero and reset every time. But when I go in, sometimes I hear things that I don't like, and naturally I respond. And it's more of a responding at the moment and trying to say my piece or what I think others would want to say, and then I move from there. I literally before I leave, I hit zero. I'm not offended. I'm not upset. I hope no one is upset with me, but I get it if they are. I mean, it's a personality trait, so I roll with it. But I still put on my smile. I still say hello to everyone. I have no disrespect to anyone. Um, I mean, in all honesty, the respect is there. I don't call the mayor Bill or William, or by his last name, and I call him Mayor because that's what he earned. Both the chiefs, regardless of which chief has been in position, I've always called them chief. Uh,
regardless if they all share the same last name.
regardless, yeah, yeah. So, I just roll with it. I just try to stay respectful, even though I'm probably older than all of them guys anyway. But I just go with it.
Right, right. I was gonna say Bill's always been pretty good. Like, cause I know you're very
Mhm.
particular on Vernon, right? Like that's
Yes.
and I
Yes.
always make sure to make a point of making sure. Like I'll correct people, but like it's not Vern, it's Vernon.
Yeah, I
And
can't stand burn. Yeah.
yeah, and Linda Witt used to call you Vern all the time. She was just
Yeah. Yeah. And she did. She was calling me Vern during the the charter committee too there, and
Oh,
I
she
mean,
still does.
it's
It's
yeah, I mean, it's there. It's I roll with it, but yeah, I don't like it.
the old politicians of Olean, man. That's they're like a old Chicago song, right? Like they're a hard habit to break, you know.
Yeah, so
So, uh, let's see.
whatever you want to talk about, I'm
Yeah,
open.
yeah, no, transparency. So like I know that you're a big like you're like my we're kindred spirits in this one. I'm huge on transparency. Uh
Yeah,
Almost to my detriment. Like the
yeah. Mine too, apparently.
Yeah, I'm always like four steps away from being fired from any position I've ever taken. So just because they're like, "Oh, Kevin's opening his mouth. He's speaking his mind on something." And
Yeah.
so but no, I that was actually the one thing I always did appreciate. Like I'm like the all
Mhm.
the notes from the council meetings, or
That takes a
like
lot of time too. I can't tell you how many times I thought about stopping that, but it's something that I started at the very beginning. I wanted to be different from all the other councilmen. And so when I get back from the meeting, I'm exhausted. I'm tired from the whole day, working and then doing the council meetings. So I just sit down, I do it. It takes about an hour and a half to collect my thoughts, get everything written down. Lately I haven't been proofreading, so I've been getting dinged on that by people. But yeah, it's there. I'm not going to remove it. I'm not going to do anything. I appreciate any feedback I get, and when I get good stuff, I try to share it. So
yeah. I was gonna say, like, have you ever thought of using like AI? You can just like drop
no,
a tape recorder and just let it
no,
record the meeting, and then you could just put the
no,
transcript of the meeting up.
no, no.
Okay.
Anytime I forget something, I tend to go back to the YouTube video myself, and I'll just listen to a couple of things, and you know, and go from there.
Yeah, I'm glad that transparency survives in that one. I wish the school
Yeah.
board would do something similar. They used to.
Oh, don't get me started on the school board. Yeah, they need to. They need to rewrite that. I think that's bull that you
Yeah.
have to write a letter in to get permission on what you're going to write, what you want to share, what you want to discuss, and then there's a yay or nay at the end. There's no transparency there. I don't like that. I've wanted to speak on that, but a lot of times their meeting runs concurrent with ours, so I have been able to make a couple of them here because of we only have one vehicle in New York right now, so we share back and forth because the missus is on the she's one of the union she's the union VP, so
Oh,
for their union. So
gotcha.
yeah, she's been at the meetings, and then like last night when I left the meeting, I limped my way down to the high school, and then she finally picked me up. So
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah. Bill, you couldn't get a lift from Bill?
nah, Bill was going the opposite way. I don't like putting people out of their way. I actually got offered a ride by a couple of people, but I don't like to put people out of their way. I,
It
I
was nice out yesterday. It
my
wasn't
personality
horrible.
is a box. See this box around that's my world. It's a box. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
walk
I
and let a
mean,
leg fall off before I take a ride from someone.
yeah. Well, um, yeah, the so I'm not hearing any grumblings on the street. Nothing. Put my ear to the ground. I don't hear there's no clatter of horses. I don't hear anybody that's going to be running against you. So, um, if you want to consistently come on the show and talk about things that are coming up, that's always people, I always there's always an open invitation to people holding public office or
Yeah,
just people in general. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at just like
you might get two more people that'll watch this because I'm on here. I don't think you're gonna get many more.
no, well, it's
It's
if
just Vernon.
if Alderman Ward 6 wants transparency at the school board meetings. I think
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's gonna
When
drive
it
people
when
nuts.
it posted, I'm not going to shy away from that one.
Yeah,
It should be there.
yeah,
Yep.
I used to watch it. Like, I say watch. I'd pop it in my ear and I would listen to those, the council meetings. It was just like a regular podcast to me, and at least I would have my thoughts on it. I knew what they were talking about. And some
Yeah.
stuff, it's like, man, that's dumb. Uh, that's what I always get yelled at about too, is because it's like, man, I'll listen to the council meetings and like I'll cringe because it's like I know the answer to it, but I'm not there. I'm listening to a recording. It's, what is this line item for? Like I can tell you, nobody asked me what the line item was for before
Yeah.
it went to budget, you
Yeah.
know? So, but
Yeah.
it's just, and sometimes it's not even in my division. It's just something I just know about because I was on the council and I asked a question 2 years in a row, and then I finally it took.
You
So
know, Kevin, one of the things I could say, I don't care what anyone in Olean says. Kevin has always had a knack for picking up on a whole lot of things. So you tend to be like an encyclopedia for not the whole book, but just small portions of everything. So you carry a lot of knowledge that I think a lot of people can pick your brain on. So I think you don't get enough credit for that.
well, I appreciate that. Thanks. I'm I got I got yelled at by one of my coworkers because I wore a button that says I think I have autism, and because I would
Well, and that's where you draw the line, and that's where Kevin gets in trouble. Yep.
it is where Kevin gets in trouble. So,
Yeah.
um, so you've got some upcoming projects though, like Marcus
Mhm.
Park.
That one I'm very excited about, and I can't wait until it gets started. It's supposed to start this year, hopefully in September. I don't talk about it a lot because it's in tandem and the city's project, and I'm not one to, I'm not looking for glory or anything like that. I just want something to happen here. There's a park up in Buffalo that is very similar to what they're going to bring here, and it is truly an inclusive park. And you think about all of the people at the rehab and all of the kids and adults and things like that. It's going to be for a little bit for everyone. You know, I had mentioned initially about putting a dog park there, and they're literally going to put a dog park there. So I kind of laughed. I was like, well, if one comes in, then how much more inclusive are you going to be? You can bring your child down, let them play at the park. You can walk along the trail. You can take your dog over to the park and let them play with other dogs. Despite what a lot of people think about those parks, they're very popular in other cities. You always they get packed at out in Arizona where we go visit all the time. So yeah, I can't wait. There's a lot of equipment that's going to come that's going to allow kids with disabilities to be able to do things that they've never been able to do before unless they've been to that park up in Buffalo. So
Like sensory stuff is what I hear.
yes, there's going to be sensory stuff. There's going to be an ability for them to put their wheelchairs in and lock them in. There should be, I don't know the actual names, but there should be some way for them to be able to rock, not a merry-go-round, but some type
Like
of way of
the
locking
thing
in.
that
And
makes most kids sick, right? They
yes,
spin too
exactly.
fast and they throw up, and yeah, I've
So they will be able to get that experience though. They've never
right.
had that experience, and that's something they'll be able to do. And I'm excited for it. I can't wait. And they're gonna put in all kinds of goodies. I don't want to throw too much out there, but
Sure.
like I said, that's their project. I can't wait, and hopefully they get to start this year. They are going to involve the community. They want to have a community day, so I hope that there's a great turnout and a lot of people come down and help. Put a shovel in the ground and help out. I think it's going to be great.
I remember when we did that with was it Kingston
King,
Park? King Street Park. Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. I remember when we did that one. That was good. It was nice to see everybody come together and
Yep.
um yeah, I was gonna say I haven't heard too many negative things about it. Obviously people lump a project like that in with the why are we spending money on that when we have roads that need done, and it just goes to
There's a lot of misunderstanding out there, and I try to explain things the best I can without being drawn out. Because if you put something up that's just too wordy, people are going to look at it and say, "Ah, that's too much to read," and they're just going to go right through it. And I mean, in all honesty, some of the stuff is probably wordy, but when I'm breaking down each segment of what happened, I'm trying to just give a little bit of each one.
sure.
Sometimes it ends up being a lot to read, but I just hope that people read some of the summaries. I mean, you can go back, it's like an encyclopedia. You can go back and read all of that stuff from the very beginning on the park and any other project. And I give the information, and then I go to some websites like 14760. I'm a member on there, and I see a lot of the stuff on there. And it's like I like when some people go on there and defend and put the truth on there. Some people are just very opinionated, and they just want to crap on it. It's like you can't really argue or fight that. You just kind of read it, you move on, and you say, well, eventually they'll like it. The circles. Yeah, there's too many.
Right.
Some of them they suck. The way they were designed. And if Olean would just admit, hey, we messed up on these circles, but we promised to fix the ones that we're going to bring in, that would be great. I think people would, come around to it. And then later on, when we can get things caught up, maybe go back and fix the issues of the old ones.
Right.
We just put in the one at Barry, and I'm not happy with that one. It's like a ski slope that it angles, is too high off the ground. And even if
It
we put down new blacktop, it's still too high. I think it was built incorrectly. And I voiced that during the meeting, but
falls on
what
deaf
more?
ears.
Yeah. What more can I do?
You're right. And actually, if you're heading eastbound,
Hmm.
after you leave the main circle, you'll notice right where parking ends, there's a whole
Hmm.
bunch of potholes. And it's like,
Yeah, you run right into them.
yeah, oh yeah. And it's, and I saw, actually, I started noticing it after I saw the gripes on Facebook. And I think to myself, like, man, this is what happens when governments pick the low bidder. Like, we want low bidder because we want the better price, but the problem is you don't get the bang for your buck because
Right.
you can, but it's not all the time. You get what you pay for.
I think
And
a lot of it, the complexity in that is, knowing that New York is a prevailing wage.
right.
And with that, that forces you to go with the low bidder because you can't necessarily afford to pay three times the amount to someone. To me, the whole concept is just ridiculous. I wish the state would just wake up and change it, but it's not going to. This is a pro union state, and that's the way it is. So with that, you got to pay the extra cost for things.
Oh
So
yeah.
and that's why the taxes just keep going up.
Yeah. And I remember I remember they fixed, what was it, Fire Station 1. They had this little
Mhm.
square and Fire Chief Bell brought it in at the time, and it was this little square of just roofing material. It was a rubber roof, and he was like, "This is the part that the contractor cut off the roof," and it was like, "What did that cost us?" They were like, "Oh, like $7,000 to pay." I'm like, "I
The
got the
pat,
I got the stuff in the back of my truck right
yeah,
now. I will run over there and do that." Like, and that's when I learned about union grievances and, well, you can't do that because you're a councilman, and it's like,
yeah.
for $7,000, nobody was going to do it in house, you know.
Listen, they talked about the dog park up at Oak Hill when I first got on the council, and they were talking about that and the equipment and stuff like that. And when I looked it up, I think it was like 3 grand. And I remember stating, I would pay for the equipment. I will pay for the equipment out of my pocket, give it to the city, and then because the city paid a pretty penny
Right.
for that equipment, and it's like I just think there's a robbery going on there. But again, that is the policies and procedures to follow the
And
state rules. So
and it
there's
and
nothing.
it's similar to the school board that everyone, because that, like, and I've been talking about this recently. Everybody goes, "I want to get on the school board. I want to make a change." And it's like, all the changes that you can make in the things that you have issues with are at the state level. They're well above that. Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot more you can do as an alderman to get things done at the local level,
Hmm.
but you're still like handcuffed by the state on a lot of things.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I don't think the general public understands that. It's just like talking about Marcus Park, for example. We're trying to explain to people why you're doing something at Marcus Park when there's roads that need to be done. I think a lot of people miss the point, and because they don't understand how the whole system works.
Yeah.
If you're not going to wrap your head around the whole system, you're only going to be able to look at the little bullet points. Like, if they were really interested in the Marcus Park project, they would read your bullet point, be like, you know what, I'm going to go watch that. And then, they can probably follow your bullet points and get roughly to the right area in chronological order and watch that section and be like, oh, now I'm up to speed on it,
Yep.
and watch each meeting and dig in. But most people don't want to do that.
Yeah, I just did a post the other day, and I think it was the third time that I posted that if the city of Olean got X amount of followers, and maybe how many, I think they said it was 1,000 followers, then it would be free for the city. But yet, they can't seem to break that barrier. But yet,
What is,
people
yeah.
will follow the dumbest things on social media and leave it there. Just put it in a pocket and leave it. Follow, subscribe to the city of Olean website, and then put it in the pocket. Just put it aside and don't worry about it. Turn off the alerts and everything, but just do it. And then once it's free, then that's another whatever costs for. I can't remember the exact costs, but I remember posting it a couple of times, and I just posted again here last week, a week before, right along with the stamp thing. Once we found out how much they're paying for postage for the water and sewer bill, is
Oh yeah,
just
what is it like? Is it $3,000 a month or something like that?
yeah, 3,000 a month. It's like that's ridiculous. Just switch it over and tell people, okay, we're going to start sending it to your email. and save that money. Sometimes we just go about things the hard way instead of just doing it, and because of the sake of, we come up with all of these excuses, and it's like, well,
Well,
let's
the silent, but there's the silent majority out there, like, and then you heard it at the people that were there to gripe at the council meeting like a month ago. They
Mhm.
were when I think it was what, a month, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. You guys were talking about that, and they came to the council meeting and they were like, "Well, we're here to talk about sewage discharge, but to that point, there are a lot of seniors." And it's like, okay, but like, my
There's a lot of
my
a
mom's
lot
a
of
week away
seniors
from being a
everywhere.
senior. Yeah,
Yeah, there are a lot of seniors everywhere. I'm a senior here in another year or two, so I mean,
right. But you get your email,
I've been reading them for years. There's a lot of people that have. I think when we start saying seniors, we start dumbing them down, and it's like we're not giving the seniors credit. It's like they understand and know how technology works. A lot of them do, and the ones that don't, even the mayor stated that some of them have caregivers and things of that nature. So there's someone around that can assist. I don't think they're completely. For lack of a better term, handicapped to a specific way of living. These people have help, so
right?
I don't think we're hurting them. I think we're helping them with advance in the technology. I mean, and then you got the other side. Why waste a tree? I mean, I've complained before about the council papers that we get, and they're single sided. It's like, let's double side this paper, and let's save some paper here
Right.
at the city.
Yeah, I do that in my own businesses. I do that for my rentals.
Absolutely.
And then
Hmm.
even like when I'm at the city, if it's like, hey, you need to print this report out and submit it, like, okay, and I will print it and I will set stuff to duplex. And
Yeah.
like I think that I'm the only, because when people make copies for me, they'll leave something in my box and it'll be like 4 sheets and it'll not be double sided. And I'll
Yeah.
think to myself, like, a lot of things are one page, but for the most part, like, I always have all the settings on anything I do, no matter where I am at duplex, if I have to print it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, like, not everybody is on that page. And
Yeah.
like my neighbor, she was 97 years old before she passed away. But
Wow.
she sent, like, she was a sweet old lady. She used to play bridge with people in town. It was Mary Ead. A lot of people knew her husband Joe. He started home hospice.
Mhm.
Um, he was a county ledge until he had an accident, and then it was one of those, like, but since we moved into this house, she was always across the street. She would always, like, we would bring her, like, I just made boiled dinner for St. Pat's, and I would have brought her over a canister for, we would always just take care of Grandma Mary, and she would send email after email. Hey Kevin, I can't figure out why my TV is not working. Can you come help me? And she would send
Yeah.
me an email to tell me because she would be
Yeah.
up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's the way. That was her best method.
Yeah. And she would
How it
find
worked.
nasty things on the internet, like jokes that, like, my friends will send me, and she would send them. And I'm like, Mary, that was a little inappropriate. And, for Kevin Doherty to tell a 97-year-old lady that the joke she sent was a little inappropriate, um, tells you something.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's things like that. Those are great changes. I don't think you're going to balance a budget with, saving 3 grand a month. Not
No.
at, what is it, $19 million now just for the general fund? I think they say it's 29 million total, but
Is it that much?
it's 19
Okay.
million, but they say 29 million. And then when they say those large numbers, I think they're including water and sewer, which the general public doesn't understand. Like, your water is one fund, your sewer is another fund, and then the general fund is where your taxes, your sales tax. So
Yeah.
like,
I try to
I'm
explain that too, but and I know I've explained it earlier in my political career, but I try to, each time we get back in the budget, I kind of touch on it a little in the very first or second post, and then from there, it's kind of like I'm hoping that the people that are following understand where I'm coming from when I, instead of writing it over and over and over.
sure, right.
Um,
Like, and especially because you're not going to balance, you'll balance for saving 3 grand a month on water and sewer bills. Like, you're saving $1,500 a month for two separate funds that have nothing to do with people's taxes.
right.
Like, that's going to save a potential price increase,
Percentage.
right,
It's just a small
on the
percentage.
water bill. Right, that's it,
Mhm.
on the water bill alone. Like,
Yeah.
so, like, because I mean, you
Yeah. The
got the
water
spending
fund is,
freezes.
it's good. It's not healthy as we'd like it, but it's good. The sewer is the one that's the healthiest, and that one we're doing fine with that one. The general fund, yeah, that bad boy needs some CPR.
Yeah.
and we're trying to find. We started last year. We started trying to find ways of saving more money, putting more money into capital funds for projects we wanted to do, especially with water and sewer stuff like that, and trying to just put money aside. But there's always something that comes up, or there's the items that come up that all of a sudden that was stuff just pops up on the council, like oh, we have I think it was 7 trucks or 9 trucks, and we were like, where'd this come from? So
Right.
now we got to find a way of paying for it. I mean, they found their way of paying for it, but they didn't have to come to the council, so apparently they had the money somewhere. So we were like, hey, it is what it is. We'll
And
just
and
move.
it there is that chain of command, right? So there's always
Mhm.
that thing like the low level guy might point out something and then he kicks it up to his boss and he kicks it up to his boss and before it ever gets to like the council, you know what I mean? It might have been kiboshed. Like we're gonna have to budget into that next year. And so a lot of times you guys never get to see the full, you know, openness of it, like all the
Yeah.
way down to the bottom. And I
Mhm.
think it's healthy for every couple of years. Like we used to request this when I was on the council and and I know that I've had discussions with councilmen before, like, hey, like it's just like the judicial or the legislative branch in any form of government. You can walk through City Hall and stop people. I remember when I first got on the council, it was like I would walk through to pay my water bill, and people would talk to me, and then I'd find out that they would get yelled at for conversating, and it was like, oh, and then it's like, well, who's my boss, right? Because I know that like Linda Linda used to do that. She used to go in and kind of like act like she still had that mentality that she was the mayor, and a lot of older city employees would like, well, she used to be my boss, and they forgot that the hat has changed.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I know during the charter commission we discussed it, and it pretty much came back that all of the city employees are all of our employees, but I think we respect the mayor and we leave it at where it is right now. He says that they're his employees, so we go with that,
right,
uh, and we stick with our aspect of what we're required to do. But yeah, I try my best not to bother people. I mean, that's just my personality anyway. If I see someone I know or something like that, I'll speak or whatever. But if I have to go to the city building, I go from point A to point B. If I do see Tiffany, I'll drop
hey, how
my
you
head.
doing?
Same thing with Michiko. If I see her as I'm walking by, I'll stop and wave. I don't want to be rude or anything, but yeah, I just go from point A to point B, go do what I need to do, and then I walk out. I do use my ID so I can swipe in the back door though, because it's so much easier. So I
Right,
take it,
right,
take advantage of that little perk. But other than that,
right. Yeah, no, and it's just one of those things. Like if you're going to determine, I guess it comes down to like ideology, right? So if it's your job to like manage the funds, right? You're going to say, "Hey, you're presented with a budget every year by
mm-hmm,
the executive branch, and then you guys review it and approve it." You might turn
mm-hmm,
around and say, "Well, like, but you guys can always move line item to line item." You can say, "Well, we passed the budget, but at any point throughout the year, you can just say, "Hey, we're going to remove this entire line item and put it over here." And
yeah,
that's always something that can happen. And it's like if you have that kind of control over the purse strings, it's like you'd think that there would be like you say. I mean, you guys do it out of respect, but it's one of those like you should be allowed to just kind of go observe where the funding is going.
you should. It's our
Yeah,
responsibility.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think the council. I think this council. They they talk a lot and they communicate a lot about what they like to see, things of that nature, a little bit more than what the previous councils that I've been on. Um, and I think we relay that perfectly to the mayor, to the city of what we're looking for. Uh, do we always get what we're looking for? No. Sometimes we have to ask again, which it's hard to change for
sure,
some. So we just kind of roll with it. The object is to work together, and not ruffle feathers. And again, like I said, sometimes I may say something at a meeting. I know last night, apparently, I must have made a face at something. Fire chief said, and Alderman McCall asked if I had something I wanted to say, and I said no. My blood pressure is going up because there's just certain things I just don't agree with. I've been in managements for so many years, and I hear all the time about Taylor's Law and all of the union stuff. And I think people don't realize that I was in a union for years, and now I'm in management of the same union that I used to work for. So now I'm on both sides. I've been on both sides now. And there's a lot of things you can do. What the union says is not gold. What the company says is was gold. So they have to work together, though. Uh, so
Right.
we make the rules. The company makes the rules, and the union has to abide by them and provide the employees. It's as simple as that. So I think there's a disconnect there at the city where they just believe that everything the union says goes, and that's the part that frustrates me. It's like there's a lot more that you can do, but it seems that no one wants to ruffle any feathers. And it's like we're not ruffling feathers. We're doing what's best for the best interest of the city. That's what matters, bottom line. So if we're
Right.
going to go ahead and let the the union run it, then you're going to continue to see the city get less and less in their general fund because I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. When you look at the raises that everyone is getting, and I'm not against the raises should come as the economy goes up, the raises should go up. I'm perfectly fine with that, but we need to generate revenue, and we're not generating any revenue. We can't even provide the numbers to even show where we're generating revenue in some lines. And that was disheartening last night to see that. So, I mean, there's so many little small things. And I say they're small because they're correctable, right? It's not the end of the world. It's not something that's going to kill anything or make it where someone's going to lose their job. It's just small things. And all of those small things add up. And that's the part that's frustrating for me. So, I'm more vocal about it, but like I said, once I leave there, I'm like, hey, have a good night. I'm fine.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's
I just hope there's no ill will there. It's funny that you mentioned that. It's like, oh, yeah, people are mad at me. Okay, well, the other side of me says, oh well,
right.
I really don't worry about that part. If people got to let it go and be able to work together.
Right, right. No, and I'm always the odd man out, right? Because I don't really like
You're
I'm not a
Kevin.
union. Well, I am Kevin, but I'm not a union guy, right? Like so
Yeah,
I get there and like there's the what Janice's law, and that's where
I've never
you
heard of that one. What
so
law?
that was I call it a law. I think it's a decision.
Mhm.
So it's where when you come to a place that is under a union bargaining, like a
Mhm.
bargaining agreement, you don't you're not just automatically a union employee. Like you don't
Mhm.
have to pay union dues. You have the option to join the union. And so like
Yeah, not at any place I've ever been.
yeah, well so I guess this happened in like 2018 or something like that.
Mhm.
So when I got there, I they were like we can't ask you to join the union. The union will present themselves to you and I just never joined because I
Hmm.
don't believe like I believe that unions have their place and I'm okay with them in the private sector. Public sector I don't like them.
Yeah.
And I'm the odd man out at the city on that one. Like I don't
Yeah.
make too many friends with the union guys, the real gung ho ones, and there's other people that they
I
don't
mean,
know what the union gives them other than I have to follow their contract. Like
right.
that's it. Like I don't get a say in it. I don't get to vote for it. I don't get represented at the bargaining table. But
Mhm.
it was one of those like I hear people's gripes about it, through the
Mhm.
halls, and it's like I usually try to I have my opinion on it where I think that like I'm probably more in line with what the council thinks. Like, hey, my job here is to, and I was explaining this to somebody the other day. It's like people been trying to poach me since like I got hired because it's like there's all these other companies out there in the private sector that can pay me double, but their health insurance isn't as good. And it's like, well, I'm taking that cut because I'm getting better health insurance.
Health
But then
insurance.
but but there's still a big gap there and people are like, "Well, that means the wage should go up." And I'm like, "No, the gap is because I'm working for the city with the idea that I'm giving back. So that percentage that's missing, health insurance and wage is still less than, the lack of health insurance the other one's offering in the private sector. And that gap is made up of what I'm giving back to my community because I'm a steward of the community. It's my
Yeah.
job to do the best for my community. And that's what I tell people. And they go, you need to watch out for your family. Charity starts at home. And it's like, well, if that was the case, if I was worried about that and I couldn't make ends meet at home, I would go get a private sector job.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I think there's a misconception in what you say, or from they're not hearing you. Yeah, you're saying that you're doing this for your community, but at the same time, you are looking out for your family because you're looking out for the best interest of them by trying to get the best pay, the best benefits, things of that nature. So you are looking at them first, and the other is secondary. But when it comes out your mouth, you say, hey, "Listen, I'm doing this because of the city. I want what's great for the city." So, and again, and that's to me, that's just where people are talking, and the other person's not listening. You know
Right.
what I mean? They're not understanding your perception of what you're trying to say, even though you just came out of your mouth and said, "I'm doing this for the city." It's like, yeah, well, he's obviously doing this for his family. He's working, he's providing.
Sure.
So, and that part just kind of goes over the head. And
Right.
so,
Dr. Bilecki, right? Like nice guy. Have you met him? He's
no,
John.
I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, you're coming with your examples here. So this
Oh,
is
well,
going
I
to be
mean, he weeds the garden. He volunteers for the city. He does the flowers
okay.
and stuff
The
like that.
actual person. Okay.
Yeah, he's an actual person. He he weeds the garden for the city, like
Mhm.
all the flower beds and stuff, and he tells people like, "Hey, this is what you need here. This is what you need there." He's really good at gardening,
Mhm.
um, and it's like he volunteers his free time because he's lived his life and he has his retirement or whatever his source of income is, right?
Yeah.
So some people don't go and work for the city, they still like they're not retired, right? Like it's not every position at the city is like a mayor type position where like we're getting all these retired people that just come in and become the mayor and not pointing out anybody in particular, the last like 8 mayors. But
Mhm.
it's one of those things like when you want to do something, there still has to be at least a bar of sustainable wage for those who don't like have a retirement to live off of to do what they do, right? Like you don't go become a full-time alderman.
Right.
So, but I do
You,
understand that.
a lot of
Oops.
people think we are full time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
I don't think they realize the pay. You get what you pay for. And I'm a full time employee with National Grid. That's my primary. That is my primary. That is what puts the food on my table. That's what pays my bills. The what is it, 3,500 now? The little $3,500 check that you get from the city does not pay my bills. I
right.
volunteer a lot of time. I volunteer a lot of time to the community. So I have to be able to provide for my family first. So I get phone calls during the day. Sometimes I'm in a meeting. My phone has a special ring for the bat phone. I call it the Alderman. But when it does that special ring, I know it's a constituent, and I want to answer it because I'm like I don't want people to say, "Yep, every time I call him, I get his machine." I don't want to be that guy. So I always try to answer them. I always try to get back, or if they leave a message, I always let them know my apologies. I'm busy right now, but I promise to call you back later on. And I'll talk to people. And actually, one thing the mayor taught me when I first got on, and I really appreciate him when he did this. We had a little talk, and he said a lot of times people just want to talk.
Oh, yeah.
And that said something. And a lot of times I get phone calls and I sit there and I'll be on the phone 15, 20 minutes, half hour with someone. And a lot of them are, elderly and they just
They
want to
just
talk.
they just want it. They want to be heard.
They want to be heard. Yep. And I sit, I listen, and they have things. Sometimes I'll write it down, and I'll say, well, I had another constituent reach out about X, Y, and Z, and I'll mention it, I promised myself that that's what I would do, and that's what I wanted to do. So,
Yeah. No, being an alderman sometimes can be like being a bartender or a priest. Like people come to you with their problems. You don't always have to have the answer. You could just
right.
listen. So,
Bartender or priest. So you're a center and a
right.
okay.
You just some people come in. Sometimes if you're a bartender, and I've bartended before, people will just come in and they will like sob into their glass and you just do the good thing and you say, "Hey man, what's the issue?" and they'll talk to you and that's it. And then they feel better just because they told you their problem.
You're able to talk. Yeah,
You didn't
talk it
talk,
out.
you didn't save their marriage, but you made them feel a little bit better about the crummy situation they're in. So,
That's why I like my solitude. When I want to, I come home and I just go to my basement and I just do my thing. And I have to reboot. I have to go sit in a corner, download my thoughts, replay everything that's happened, and then I just start all over. As long as I can do that, I'm good to go.
yeah.
I'm good for starting over next day. Literally no issues, no qualms or anything. So
Yeah. No, mental health is definitely a good is a good thing just to keep in check. Nobody is
Yeah.
cognizant of it anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trying to think. Like the council, I mean, the charter commission. That's got to, that's how's that coming? I
It's
watched the meetings.
We went through all of the chapters. Everyone provided their input, and we're pretty much getting to the point where we're wrapping up. We just handed it over to the lawyer. We gave him a bunch of notes, a lot of things, just minor details, wording, stuff like that. I can't recall any major changes. There's a lot of strike throughs where we removed a lot of old language, a lot of the stuff that really just didn't pertain or anything that was pretty much redundant, we got rid of. We tried to streamline it a little bit more, try to give more detail to some of the positions because, for instance, the city clerk's descriptions kind of went over into what the council clerk does. So we had to specify what was what, and I think that worked out great. And yeah, it should be finishing up here soon. We have a meeting, I think, the beginning of next month. I can't remember.
Because then what
No.
happens is it gets sent to referendum.
Yes, yes. Once we get done and everything, then we're gonna do that part, and then hopefully people vote yes on it and move it forward. In all honesty, I don't see a reason why they would not. Um, as far as the salary aspect, I've always believed that that needed to go up because we need to try to find a way of enticing more people to get involved. Right now, the mayor's salary is set at a retirement. For retirees, it's 50 grand. When you looked at other compatible cities with the same amount of council members, with the same setup, with roughly same population, plus or minus about 3 to 4,000 people. You're looking at council members that were making roughly 10K. Mayors were making roughly 100 to 120K. If they didn't have a mayor, they had a city manager. They were making roughly the same thing. And I think that we've had so many administrations that have gone by that just said, you know what, we're not doing anything. You know what, we're not doing anything, and now we're behind. And
Lack of competition.
now we're playing catch up from behind, and we're doing it with a stressed out, you know, budget. So
The
I
rumor on the
think
street was always that if you kept it at the retiree age, you would kind of protect the people that wanted to run that were retirees. Because if you wanted to poach somebody making 100 grand a year at, Cutco, right? Like I served with Brian George. He was great. I don't think he ever would want to run for city mayor, but I think he would be a good candidate if he ran. He's a nice guy. Everybody likes him, and if he were to go to the owner of Cutco and say, "Hey, listen, I'm going to step down from my position for 4 years to run and be the city mayor to give back to the community." I think that like when you get to that position in a company, I think that they would put a pin in it. You know what I mean? They would say, "Hey, you've done great work here. I think we can, whatever." You're never going to entice them to leave though for half of their wage or less. You're
right.
going to entice them to leave for a 4 year stint to give
Mhm.
back to the community for a 20 grand hit,
Yep.
you know?
You're absolutely correct. I don't think you're going to get someone to just cut their wages in half. Again, people have to take care of their family first, and then, community service. So, with that, if you can raise the wages, even uh, incrementally, I think it would do wonders for bringing someone out. There's a lot of people that have great ideas. There's a lot of people that would be interested, but the fact is, a lot of people aren't willing to lose their job to come do it for 50 grand. And the mayor, he's done great while he's been there. I don't have any bad things to say about him. But I think it's time for a new mayor, fresh ideas, fresh thoughts, and you just go from there. I mean, and if he wins, then he wins. I still have to work with him, but I don't think that any particular position should be dominated year after year after year by the same person. But I mean, if he's the only person that's running again, then we need to entice more people to run. And
Right.
and at least by having someone run against him, it would bring the best out of him. because then now he has to explain and better perform, and then he knows where the people are upset, and then he can work on those things, and then he can get better results. I mean,
Comp
I don't think anything is wrong with that at all.
Healthy competition. That's
Absolutely,
it
absolutely.
works in the private sector too, like if if your price on something, if your cup of coffee is too expensive and you're the only coffee game in town, your price can be whatever it wants because unless people are going to make it at home, they're not going to come out to Timmy Hose or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
so, but
I go to Jimmy, but I prefer my Starbucks.
see, I can't stand it. Miley drags me to Starbucks like twice a month usually, and I just I like cream in mine, no sugar every time I go. There's always a spritz of sugar, and it's almost like I mean I'll drink a black coffee, I don't care, but I do like some cream, and I don't like sugar, and for some reason I always get a sugary black coffee, and it's like I just I don't know, I feel like I'm beating my head against the
Maybe
wall
the
with
coffee brand that you selected was sweet. It might be a sweet roast.
maybe that's what it is.
A lot of those roasts are either bold and have a sweetness to it. Maybe you need a different style.
Maybe
You
that's
have
what
to,
it is.
they have so many selections. You just kind of have to taste test to see which ones you like the best.
Right, right. Like I used to have a coffee shop, so like I'll tell them like a dark roast, but I guess I don't. Maybe that's how it is. Maybe they got
Yeah,
the sweetness that
yeah.
comes out in
Each
them.
Starbucks, yeah. This Starbucks doesn't have everything, but the way the way they get behind. In all honesty, I don't think they need anything else. I think they need to just focus on the items that they have because I think if they had any more selections, they would get even further behind. So, but
Yeah,
at
right.
least yeah, they're trying. I'm happy they're here. So I keep mine simple. I just get a ice green tea or a ice black tea, and once in a while I get a coffee. But yeah, I
You
do.
still, that's why I made a coffee today. I have homemade seltzer that's non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been slowing down on drinking. I haven't, I had a drink for St. Patty's Day, and then I haven't drank in like 2 months. So it's like, I've been making all the homemade White Claws non-alcoholic,
Mm,
and the missus hates me for it, but I,
yeah.
um, I was like, I'm gonna make a coffee because Vernon will drink coffee 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if I
I
remember
sure will.
correctly.
Yep, I sure will.
11 o'clock at night.
I will, and then go right to bed. No issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, so I mean, hopefully there's some competition for you. But I don't. If I haven't heard any grumblings now, I doubt somebody's going to come out of the woodwork. So I think you're.
yeah, I need to go get my signatures. Normally I am regimental and get everything done, but like I said, the past 2 weeks have been stressful at work. A lot of work that we need to get done, but I'm all caught up at work. So now I'm pretty much it's employee appreciation month. So I'm trying to get out to all of my employees and take them all out to lunch and just give them an opportunity to just relax and so I've been on the road a lot and then coming back and then we're doing two a week with the council and then got to spend time with the missus.
Oh yeah,
Like I said, I am an introvert, so even though I come home to a beautiful wife, sometimes I just want to go to the basement and go collect my thoughts, sit by myself, think.
got a
So
got a punching
yeah,
bag down there or a speed bag?
I have a full gym down here, full living room, full everything. I'm actually sitting at a booth type dining room table that
Oh,
we had
okay.
at our last house. But yeah, it's decked out down here. I don't have a punching bag, but I got weights, bench, elliptical, bike, treadmill, ab coaster. I got mats. I got yoga stuff over there. I got small weights. I got all kinds of stuff over there. But
Oh, there you go. You can go
it's set
go defend John at the next basketball game.
up. No.
I'm just I just had
Yeah,
I had to pepper that reference in there, I
I
guess.
don't even like basketball, but yeah, I'm pretty sure when he watches this, he'll appreciate that one.
Yeah, right. So,
Yeah.
I guess the only other topic I really wanted to touch on was
Mhm.
what did what is your take on like so we talked about the budget, right? And we talked about like, your guys' oversight of it. And I don't want there to be a misconception out there that like the budget is just fraught with overspending and corruption here and there. I, I don't want anybody to get that takeaway because but like and you mentioned there was a healthy sewer budget.
Mhm.
But I still don't think that this a healthy sewer or water budget is going to be able to put a drop in like replacing infrastructure. and you have these
right?
giant mobs that come to the council as of late that are
Mhm.
like coming at us for the throat, you know.
So that one, so just to tackle, I mean, to go back on your last point, you know,
I gave you a lot, sorry.
yeah, they have a lot that they feel that they want to discuss and try to correct a wrong, and I don't blame them. But at the same time, that's not an overnighter. And I know a lot of the majority of people that I've been talking to, I've been saying the same thing over and over. You can't put the cart before the horse. So, in order to fix the problem, we have to fix a lot of smaller problems. So, going back to just the sewer itself, the infrastructure is old as hell. It's been neglected as a whole. I'm going to say it hasn't been neglected because the city is always working on something different, and that can be shown. There's millions and millions of dollars that have been spent each year on different parts of the city and its infrastructure. There is a huge misconception out there that the city isn't doing anything. I think what I've tried to explain in my words, I don't know if it resonated, so I can explain it here now. Um, the city, the mayor initially, after with the second big dumping that they did in the Allegheny River, um, the mayor came and basically requested to get an engineering study on our lines because we wanted to see all of these different things. We wanted to check all of these different things around the city with every residential and every downtown. Well, come to find out, we had one. And once the council learned that we had one, and we were saying, well, how much of this stuff has been done? And the answer was, I don't know, to maybe some. Then the council completely flipped and said, well, why would we pay for another study when we have one that we previously had that wasn't even implemented? We didn't go out and try to implement some of the things that the results showed in that study. So when they came back and they were talking about the houses being connected, I know I brought that up. The houses that are being connected and still going into the ground may or may not be going directly into the sewer line. Some may be going to the storm line. So we said, okay, well, maybe we should check that. But then JR, Alderman Benyon, mentioned that, okay, let's say if they are, we pull them all out. We take every house in the city, right? And take all of their spouts and put them out into the yard. When you have all of those go out into the yard, guess what? Now they're going into the street. There were, I can't remember the total number, but there were a numerous amount of catch basins that were tied to the sewer system and
Sure.
not storm system.
Because yeah,
So
our system was put in
yes, exactly.
prior to storm. Right. They just
So
had sanitary.
so when you look at that theory and you say, okay, no, we're not rocket scientists. This isn't our profession. We're all each alderman has a different genre or their
Sure.
occupation, right?
Right.
So when you look at that and you say, okay, well, even if we disconnect every house, every business, every building, and have everybody put theirs right into the street, there, no one's going into the wrong pipe in the ground. Well, guess what? We have all these catch basins that are still going to the sewer plant and not to the storm. So that's where the council is saying, why don't we take that old list before we start spending money on a new study? Take that old list, go out and fix all of those catch basins or check to see if they were fixed. All of the catch basins that need to be done that are connected to the sewer line. There's some that are going to be inexpensive that we can do, and I can't remember how many they did, but they did quite a few last summer. Um, and then after that, we'll tackle the larger ones, and that's what we're going to have to budget for. So that's what we've been putting money aside. So we're saying, okay, now we can take and attack these one at a time and prioritize them. But again, that's for the city to do. The council has already said this is what we like to see with this money. It's up to the city to go do it.
Right.
So now we move that to the side. Alderman Crawford, Binion, myself, and the mayor, we got together and we went to discuss ways of moving forward. The consensus was that we would look into getting a study done to get the what is the name of the pump stations looked at. Uh, and the two, Martha Ave and
Oh,
Fourth.
yep,
I can't
yeah,
see the third one there, but there's a third one. Have those looked at. Try to find out whether or not they have the capacity to be able to do what we needed to do. Uh, and so that is something that's going to be coming to the forefront. We're going to look at doing that. But other than that, government doesn't move any faster. I mean,
right,
they're doing the things that they need to do, albeit they're not doing it fast enough. And that's where I can side and say, listen, you guys need to make this a priority. But things are being worked on. I know I feel the same sentiment. I know it's parts per million. I learned that I did water purification in the military, so I understand the parts per million ideal. But when you are actually the recipient and you're the one that's living down the river, I think there has to be some type of empathy when that person says, "Listen, I can't go into my backyard because there's a damn turd coming down here, or there's sediment that because that can happen. There is sediment at the bottom of this that is literally sitting there." So I think we should take the concerns seriously, but at the same time, we need to look at what the city can do and keep uh, staying within the limits of what DEC wants us to do. As long as we're staying within those parameters, I think we're fine. But we just need to
right,
work as fast as we can at it, because who wants a pissed off neighbor? You shouldn't have a pissed off neighbor. And
sure,
yes, we should be working with them. We should have been working with them from day one. I don't know why you wouldn't. So I think in that regard, I don't know who dropped the ball there, but we should be working with Seneca. They have the ability. We have to pay 3 times the amount. So if they can help us and they're willing to pay and we pay them back, whatever way we figure it out, do
right.
something, and that's where I'm at with that.
I've had conversations about this, and it was, what struck me is funny about not yesterday's council meeting, but the actual council meeting,
Previous. Yep.
yeah, where everybody showed up. It's like, man, when I was on the council, if we had an issue with if we had an issue with Portville or Allegheny or whatever, we would rifle off an email.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, mayor, hey, Vernon, hey, council president, hey, whoever, I'd like to sit down and meet with you. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because we always heard that, like, when these discharges would happen, that Salamanca was angry and potentially could sue us, but we never heard a peep out of them. From a council standpoint, I never got an email, never got a phone call, no nothing. And the common council, like, when you guys have public comment, that is like a stone throwing venue. That's like the guy who's pitching at the target on a water, on a dunking booth, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, you don't go there to get things done and be heard. You go there because people either A, aren't listening, they're not replying to your emails, they're not responding to your phone calls, and they're there to get your attention by throwing rocks at you. And it's like, well, if they haven't called you in the first place, why are they coming straight out to you know, they kind of like they went to the highest point of escalation. And it's
Well,
like,
I think um, I can't speak for all of the communications that the city received. I'm pretty confident that they didn't just pop up. I'm pretty sure after all of these months, there's been communications sent. Uh, I know in some of the conversations that we've heard, some of the conversations that we've heard between the mayor and the gentleman that always comes, Wall,
yeah,
Mr.
go
Wall,
Glenn, yeah.
that he has stated that he has talked to the mayor on numerous occasions, or that he's talked to uh, Jesus. Yeah, it's getting about that time. He talked to
Brad.
Brad. Thank you,
Yeah.
Brad Camp. So if he's talked to Brad and he's talked to the mayor, there has been back and forth communication. What that communication is, we don't know. The council did receive an email once. I do recall having an email once from him. Uh,
Right, but
a few
he's not
things.
even like, you had a lot of like elected officials and people that are nominated amongst the Seneca Nation, and
Yes,
what was
they
it,
were
the
there.
right, the
Yep.
woman from the Salamanca Common Council. Like, these are elected or somehow voted upon
Mhm.
officials in their
Yep.
capacity. Like, but I haven't heard of one person receiving communication from them other than just to show up and read a proclamation from their president,
Yeah,
you
but I
know?
mean, is teach his own. To me, each they are very proud. nation, very proud people. They have their way of handling things. It's not always going to be the same as the way I may handle it or the way you may handle it. But
Right.
they I think they accomplished their goal. They show that they were unified, regardless if you were just the next door neighbor, if you were one of the politicians, or if you were a business owner. I think they showed that regardless of where you are in the aisle in on their land, that they were unified. That we don't want your poop down here. So, and like I said, I totally agree with that. So with that, how do we make that change? And they chose to come and speak in a unified way. Now, I did not have any objections to the whole thing. I thought that we were going to cut the time to allow them all to speak in a timely manner, but after the grumblings, John and I made a motion to basically canceled, going to
Right.
3 minutes and left it at 5 minutes. So, I mean, I didn't have a problem with that. Where I do have a problem, though, is I respect is big with me. I have a lot of pride, and if I'm showing, I mean, listen, we had a small incident, and yet here I am.
Right.
Like I said, my reset button is infinity, and if I can do that and talk to you, so with this is respect is big with me. And when the gentleman that spoke and read off the letter of their president, when he spoke, I understand that he wanted to get the point out. I understand that he wanted to finish the letter. I understand that he had a message, but I still believe that as council president, this is our house. When the president of our house says you're done, you should be done. Um, I'm not going to come to your house and talk to you and present my case for anything and then try to out talk you in your house. You know
Right.
what I mean? I don't expect to go down to Salamanca and talk to anyone down there and disrespect them in their house. I don't care how pissed you are. I don't care how big the issue. Respect is number one for me. So when that happened, I did sit up in my chair because I was getting upset by that, but at the same time, I also understand the perception. It would have been bad if we would have reacted openly, uh, right there in front of the cameras.
Right. Yeah. Because
It would have been a bad image, and it would have been Alderman Robinson did this, and this. So I'm not a council president. Uh, I'm glad I wasn't because I know how I am with my personality. Unfortunately, John had to deal with that, and I
right.
applaud him for how he tried to handle it. But I just go from there. But again, like I said, I do understand where they're coming from, and I understand the whole concept, and I agree with them. But on that particular front, there, I think that was handled inappropriately, and I wasn't happy about that at
Yeah,
all.
I just still think that like man like those like just afterwards like they're doing I saw a post on Facebook the other day and it was like it's bring a friend night to next Tuesday's meeting.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like okay, we'll bring a friend like but in the meantime, in that interim, has anybody wanted to just sit down and talk with the council? You know what I mean? Not just from a
I think the mayor is scheduled to talk to them, and
okay.
frankly, there's nothing that anyone needs to talk to the council about. We've already provided instructions to the city on what we're looking for. We have a study. Go ahead and take care of those items in the study with those means that we have the ability for. The mayor already mentioned that we're going to get a engineering service in for those 3 pumps and have someone look at those to find out if we need to in fact install some type of holding tank, or if we need to update the pumps, what have you. That's the purpose of that. There's nothing else we can do in the interim.
Right,
Like I said,
right.
we can unhook every house there is in the city. All we're doing is putting it right into the street, which could very well
Go
cause more
back into the
problems.
catch
So,
basins.
I mean,
Right.
so we're better off to just go day to day, hope that we don't get any substantial rains that cause another issue. I mean, the other day when we got the high winds, I was like, oh, we're sitting here like we're gonna have a flashback to last year and have something happen, So everyone is on edge,
Right.
No one is sitting in the city and saying, we're good to go. No,
Right. Yeah,
everyone's on
because
edge, everyone's worried. We don't want it to happen again.
right. Yeah. I don't think anybody's intentionally pooping in the river.
No,
I don't
no, no. Except the homeless that pitched their tents down there that
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, I'm sure that when the flood comes, that their poop gets washed in the river,
along with the tent.
along with the tent. We're tenting in the river, so I don't wouldn't blame the city of Olean for that. Like the homeless task force, I blame They should they should handle it.
I have not heard or seen anything there, but I just hope that they're doing what they can to help some of the people. In all honesty, I believe it's the same people over and over because I see the same people over and over.
Right.
I have not seen any new faces. It's literally the same individuals.
Right. Yeah. And it's hard to see it too because there's a lot of people that just they whatever's wrong with them, they think that it's just okay. And I think that's the problem that needs to be addressed. You don't just like they won't be homeless if you give them a house, but it's like, is that going to solve it? Because at one point they probably had a house. Somebody
Yeah,
probably gave them a house.
and that's the tricky part. I mean, if it was easy to fix, it would have been fixed a long time ago. But I mean, look at what's her name? Deborah, I think her name is. I think everyone in town knows her. The lady that
Oh,
sits down by
the
Vernon.
Oracle.
I
She
don't know anything about that.
she reminds me of the lady from The Matrix, so I always call
Oh
her the
yeah.
Oracle.
Oh my
Like,
goodness. Yeah. So so she, the word is that she does have an income, that she prefers not to receive assistance from anyone. She's perfectly fine on her own and by herself. And she's proven that she's very resilient in what she does. And, I think she does have a property or she stays somewhere in East Olean. I've seen her frequenting that way, going across the bridge and walking up State Street. So I
she
think
used to
she's living over
live. She
there
used
now.
to live at Anderson Shortell
Yes, before it had the fire. Yeah.
before it had the fire. I was at the tax auction that day with the Andersons. It was funny.
Mhm.
They were sitting behind me. They're like, "Hey, our shop is on fire," and they all left. And it
Mhm.
was when they still owned it.
Yeah.
And then when I was on the council, I think it was my second term. I was running and I was going door to door, and I got into the Olean house, which is a tough feat to do if you're in Ward 4, to get your foot into the door at the Olean house. And then you also there's a little trick to the Olean house is like because the residents will come up to you and be like, "Do you want to borrow this?" And they'll hand you a bottle of like rubbing alcohol to
Mhm.
spray on yourself because it keeps bed bugs down. And so it's one of those like I remember getting handed by a bunch of different people like different. Do you want to spray before you leave? Like, why? What's going on? But she was one of the doors and she slammed the door in my face.
Yeah.
Um,
You bothered her. She wants to
I
get up.
knocked on the door and she just was like, "I know you. I like you." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And she goes, "Are you a Republican or a Democrat?" I could never tell. And I was like, "Well, I'm a Republican." And she boom, slammed the door in my face. "Get out of here before I go get a gun." And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think she has a gun, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave.
Interestingly, since you brought that point up, my first year, so I was appointed, and then I had to run the next year. So, and I'm anti going door to door. I don't want to go knocking on people's doors and bothering them. People want to live their lives and not be bothered by me soliciting myself.
It's
But
worse
at
in
the same,
Texas.
yes, yeah. So, but what I did do is I bought a bunch of magnets, and I went around with my business card, the Alderman card, and the city business card. So I went around to all the residents in Ward 6, and I knocked on everyone's door to introduce myself, to let them know that I'm their city alderman, and if they needed anything or they wanted to just talk or whatever, I gave them the magnets so they can put it up on their fridge, and then I gave them my card so they can put it wherever you want to put it. But I wanted to let them know that I was their alderman. And I got a lot of positive feedback from that. And surprisingly, a lot of people had said they read my posting or everything, and I did not realize that it was that popular, you know. And I did get to one house on the south side on the later streets. I'm not going to say the street, but I got to this gentleman's house. He was sitting out front, and I walked up to give him the card and everything. And the first thing he said was, he was grumpy, and he said, "Are you Democrat, Republican?" And I said, "Why does that matter?" He said, "Because are you Democrat or Republican?" And I said, "If you have a problem with the city or you need something taken care of, should I ask you, are you Democrat or Republican before I help you?" I said, "I'm
Right.
independent." And he said, "All right." And then he took my card. But that resonated with me because I heard people do that. And I'm so anti that. I don't like that.
Right, because
It's
there's a lot of people
um,
that they take sides, and it's like, it's if you want to take
it's
a
not that,
side,
yeah.
th-
It's not that big deal. There's
right,
no reason why anyone should be carrying themselves in that type of way with a party. It's a party is the party. Is just your belief is your belief. That's fine. I mean, we all should respect each other's beliefs, and period. But when it comes to something like that, if I'm coming to you and I'm letting you know, hey, I'm your alderman, I'm the one that's going to help you with anything that you need, and you're more concerned about my party, bruh. My party is independent. Now what? So what does it matter? What does
Right.
it matter?
Right. You
So
know,
that's where I was at with him. I was kind of, I think that was the first time I ever got frustrated with a constituent because that was the way he carried himself. But I mean, I don't know if he's called me since. I don't know his name. I just remember the street, and I was like, well, if he ever needed me, I'd help him regardless. But
right. There's like a couple little old ladies that they would never ask me what my party was, but they would always like it always fell on a presidential year because I remember like one lady in particular, she's 3 houses on the next block from my house. And I remember going to her door and every year she'd ask me she's like, well, how do you think our Bernie is going to do this year? And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, if you know Kevin's not really a Bernie guy. I'm not a Bernie bro, but I was like, I just looking at her, I'm like, you know what? I think he's getting a little old. A lot of these politicians, she's like, you know what? He is getting old. And it was like that, every time she would ask me what I thought about Bernie again. And I was like,
yeah,
I didn't have an issue with it. Like, I'll give her my opinion on Bernie. And she didn't seem to care what party I was. It's just, she just assumed because I was knocking on her door that I was there because I knocked on everybody's door.
yeah.
Because,
Bernie has some good memes. That's
he
for sure.
he does.
He has some
He
good
does. And
memes.
I hear it's beautiful in Russia this time of year. Good for a
Yeah,
honeymoon.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's yeah, I mean, you got anything else that you can think of that you want to touch on?
I mean, no, I didn't know where we were going to go, so I didn't know if we were going to start on my personal or if we were going to just do politics. I mean, I like I said, I'm an open book. I don't
Yeah.
really hide a whole lot. So I mean, I have a whole book out there. So
Yeah. You got to get
yeah.
it on Audible. 'Cause
I want to. I want to. I want to do it, and I want to use my voice, but I think I need to retire first. I have way too much going on.
to try to sit down and read your book.
To sit and read my own book and get it recorded and everything. I mean, a lot of people don't realize. So I always try to explain to people. So I work for National Grid, and I myself and one other supervisor, we run the entire West. And when I say the entire West, I am referring to Rochester heading west. So when you take
So the New
Rochester,
York border?
yeah, to the PA border,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all the way to Erie. So we have everything, all of the counties. I can't even remember how many counties it covers, but I have all of the north area, all down. Wellsville goes over to Whitesville, all the way to Erie, and all the way up to Niagara Falls region. So I have a huge territory, and I have 8 employees that work for me, and they cover certain regions. And it just with I was joking with the mayor the one day, and I told him, I said, Mayor, you're complaining and you only have a what 28-29 million dollar budget. I said, me and my counterpart, our budget is 43 to 46 million. So
You're the library budget.
you have a huge budget, and I do a lot. I do a lot, and it's draining, and I do get tired. Like I said, the introvert part of me, you get drained right off the bat. As soon as I get done with this, dude, I'm going to close this thing and I'm going to go upstairs and I'm just going to throw my head back and I'm just going to need to download all over again. And but yeah, that's Vernon in a nutshell. Every day I do this, and then when weekend comes, you make these plans. You're like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that, and I cancel half of them. I don't want to do nothing,
Right.
and then I'll go to dinner every now and then. But yeah, once in a while I make an appearance outside, and if I'm not with the missus, then I'm out doing my own thing in the yard or out for a walk or something. Anymore, I can't walk, but yeah, it's just getting old.
Yeah. No, I've been getting fat and I've been being made fun of by a lot of because I'm getting
Yeah,
old. I'm hitting that
yeah,
point where I stopped drinking. I was like, man, I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gaining weight. I'm like,
yeah,
what am I gonna do?
yeah.
So I'm gonna have to get a gym in my basement.
Welcome to the club. Yeah, I mean the gym in the basement helps. It makes it easier for you to go do it when you're feeling that urge. I know this. I can tell you, there's a lot of times I've made the way down the stairs, come down here, I'll put my shoes on, I'll get myself set, I'll turn on the TV, put on a nice show, and then the next thing you know, I kick the recliner back,
And you fall. Yeah.
throw my feet up, and now I'm just watching TV.
I've been trying to make a habit of it, like getting up at I've been trying to go to bed early, which is my downfall because I don't end up doing it. It ends up being like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And then
Yeah,
but I've been getting up at like 4 o'clock in the morning so that I can just get a kettlebell workout in, do some stretching, and then do a 15-minute to sometimes 45-minute podcast and just get it
yeah.
done once a day like a journal. And I'm like, all right, now I'm done. I've got it all out of the way. I get some paperwork done, and then it's time to get the kids ready for school.
I was going to tell you, just my personal opinion, you should space your podcasts out. I think if you space them out, then you leave people wanting to come back.
Yeah,
You know, if you're doing them back to back to back to back, now you're providing them information overload.
right.
I think if you space them out every 2, 3 days, that way, people are more like, hey, what's Kevin got to say? And then they'll go click on it. That's just my thought.
Yeah, no, because originally I was gonna do it like Tuesday, Thursdays to start, and then move it to like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and do it like 1 to 4 interviews a month. And then it
Yeah.
was like, and then I got into it, and I was like, I'm just gonna do one every morning and just call it a morning podcast. And then I don't know, because what'll happen is I'll do like one podcast a month, and then it'll be a whole nother month before I do another podcast, and I'm like, no, like all of a sudden you lose all the traction. It's too far apart. And
Yeah.
then I'm the ADHD kid, so
Yeah.
just I just keep hitting it every day. But maybe I should break it up a little bit, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah.
I've been trying to pick a topic for each day. Like I'm doing motivational Mondays now, and
Mhm.
just to kind of just to break up the monotony. Because sometimes I'm kind of guessing. I'm like, well, I haven't done enough research on this topic. Oh, look, at Vernon posted something, and then
Yeah.
I'm like,
Jesus. Yeah. I, I Facebook. Yeah. I try my best to keep up on that. I try and keep posts up, but try to keep everybody informed. But yeah, it sometimes it's too much. I can't tell you how many times I thought about giving it up, but I'm not a quitter. So it's like, well, if someone beats me, then fine, but I'm not going to quit. So I do need to go get my signatures though. This is the first time I procrastinated on that. I don't want to go knocking on doors. I don't want to call people and bug them. But I gotta have someone go with me. I gotta have a Democrat go with me to sign. And if I recall, I don't need anyone from the working family party to sign. And yeah, the Republicans they said they were gonna they have a candidate. Actually, the letter's probably sitting right here somewhere. I always keep the letters. I have
do
every
we? I
last.
haven't heard. It's funny. I sit on that committee, but they also. I don't know if you've read any news articles about me, but
I I seen it. I've seen it.
they don't they don't tell me much. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So but I normally have a pretty good ear to that. But you know, who knows? Your letter
yeah,
could just be BS from somebody who doesn't.
yeah.
It is
I'm
what it
good.
is.
I'm good at it. Yeah, I'm good at either way. I'm good. I don't worry about those things I can't control. That is one way I keep my stress levels down. I just don't worry about it at all.
Right.
They run somebody fine, then that gives everybody an option, and they can go from there. So,
Right. Yeah. Hey, it's healthy.
mhm,
So,
yep.
but
I still
yeah,
got my signs from years and years ago that I bought $500 worth of signs, and
I got a garage full.
yeah, yeah. Can we change the wording from Doherty to Robinson on there? I don't know if we can.
We could. June had to do it for my county
Flamethrower.
legislative race.
Yeah,
She had to make bumper stickers on her Cricut machine that just said county legislator, and she would put it
yeah,
over top of Ward 4, Alderman. She just put it over top of Alderman. So it was just Kevin Doherty, county legislator. And
yeah,
that race went like a Republican primaries are a difficult thing.
yeah,
You get
yeah.
those, yeah, you get little old ladies who like that guy sitting on his porch. You a Republican or a Democrat? Like you're gonna get that,
Yeah,
but like a lot of them are just mail-in ballots.
yeah.
There's
I
that
know
attitude of mail-in.
I have a lot of constituents in my ward that like what I do, that are Republican or conservative, and I appreciate them and their feedback. I thought about going the conservative route, and I just kind of changed my mind and figured, you know what, I'm just going to stay where I'm at the entire time I'm here. I mean, I have contemplated it numerous times, but it's like, just stay independent, stay where I'm at, and because my views are all over the place. I'm not a stickler for any one particular thing, so I just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
like being neutral.
yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of people though that like when I remember like people are like I'm independent, and then you go and you're like I have you on the independence list when that was an actual party. There's a lot of people that were independents because they
Yep,
thought it was independent instead of
yep,
a non-party affiliate. So
yes,
that's a
yes.
huge misconception out
Yeah,
there.
New York got rid of that. So
Yeah. Yeah. They
yeah,
didn't have a good enough candidate for the gubernatorial race, so that's what threw them out. So,
yeah. So all they have is the two.
yeah. The two
So
big ones and then the baby ones, the
there's a few
conservatives.
little, yeah, a few little ones. So
Yeah, is the Green Party back in? I can never tell.
that one I don't know.
The Ralph Nader.
No, no,
No.
no. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
yeah,
follow
no. Well, this
that. Yeah.
this this was fun.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Yep.
should hey, this might if you did this once a week, you might save some time on having to write your notes.
Oh my goodness. I've thought about doing some type of podcast, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, I because this is what's going to happen tomorrow. Because I am in the office tomorrow for a little bit. Tomorrow I'm gonna be in the office and I'm gonna take my little thing and I'm gonna set it up on the corner and I'm gonna play Life22 and watch this and I'm gonna go, oh my god, I made that face. Oh my god, why am I licking my lips so much? Why am I looking over there? I'm just gonna sit there and critique the hell out of it,
Right.
and then I'm gonna go boop and turn it off. So that's exactly why I can't do this. I can't. So
Or you're going to look at Kevin going, "Wow, Kevin is actually being patient and letting other people finish sentences. He's doing really good for being an ADHD
I'm
kid."
impressed. I am impressed.
I've been
Yeah,
working
because
on it.
I have a employee that every now and then I have to remind him, let's stay focused. Come on, And it's kind of comical because everyone always says you do so well with him. So I was like, oh, I probably have to do that with you tonight. And no, I hadn't had to do that at all. So
Right.
I'm
Well,
good. But hey, maybe when people see this, some of the other people that you try to invite, the politicians or whatever, that don't want to do it, maybe they'll see this and they'll say, you know what, maybe I will do that with
yeah,
Kevin.
well, I appreciate that. Yeah, they I remember being on the council and every year Paul Gonzalez would tell me, "I'm going to come on your podcast." And then at the 11th hour, he would always cuz he was the one that always said 11th hour all the
Yeah,
time. He would
yeah,
love saying the word 11th hour. He'd be like, "They're always coming to us on the 11th hour." And then on
yeah,
the 11th hour, he would come to me and be like, "Ah, I can't come on the show." Oh,
yeah.
really? Oh,
I
really?
think Paul's an introvert too.
Right? Yeah.
I think he is. I think he is. He has some tendencies there.
Yeah, but he would snap at people. When he was the council president, he used to snap. He
Because you're
wouldn't have.
sick.
What's up?
You're sick of people. That's all.
Is that what it
I,
is?
yeah, you get to a point where I stay patient, I stay calm the best I can, but yeah, I'll snap. I'll snap. I mean, it's common, especially with my personality. But
Yeah.
like I said, I just try to show the patience and just keep going, and I keep trying to explain it over and over and over, and just go from there. But yeah, eventually, I've done it in the council meeting, before where I just snap. I think I've sworn twice now on the floor, and mm, never apologize. I'm not gonna lie. So there's no need to lie. I don't believe in lying. I'm not sorry. So apparently I said what I said for a reason. So I just
Right.
go with, yeah.
Yeah. That's but yeah, no, if you ever if you ever want to start a podcast, if you're not doing the video side of it and you just want to record it, uh we'll get you a starter pack. I
Yeah. Yeah.
we through our distribution hub, they allow us to have unlimited podcasts. So,
Okay.
and then you can invite like a member to manage just one podcast. So like I could say, "Hey, here's the Vernon show," and you could change it up however you want. You could, call it
It'll
the,
be a Vernon show, and then it'll say in the bottom corner, Life22 Studio Productions.
it could. It could. It doesn't have to. Technically, it could just go out on its own. And then we could help you set it up on SoundCloud, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast,
I'm
Audible.
catching hell for this tomorrow. I can promise you, I'm gonna get some phone calls or texts and say, "Oh, so you're going in with Doherty on Life22?"
You don't have to go on with me. You
Spread
just
it. Just spread it. Let's
yeah,
see
there you
where
go.
it goes. I don't care.
Yeah, I because I have a friend he wants to do his own little podcast. I was like, dude, just have at it. They charge me $20 a month for this service, so it's like they're charging me $20 a month and I can have unlimited. So it's like
Yeah.
I can just pass it off to whoever, and it's like, man, if you do well at your podcast, man, it's go for it, you know?
Yeah, my favorite is guns. So 9 times out of 10, if
I
I
knew
hit a
you were a Democrat. I'm just kidding.
yeah, yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be on guns. That's one of my faves. So
Yeah.
uh, I like to shoot, like to go to the range, like to tinker, like to play around. So, but
Pistol or long gun?
both,
Both?
both. I am I am not one for bragging, but I'm pretty good with both.
Yeah.
Um, I've been blessed with it, so I roll with it. I'm very good with the pistol, and every time I go out with pistol and take someone with me, I always end up being the one showing them how to correctly shoot and how to get their sight alignment, sight picture, and just go from there. Try to properly hold the gun. But yeah, I mean, even when I had my shoulder done, I went out and went to the range, and I had someone take the picture, and I was holding the gun like I was like
Right.
like this, right, incorrectly, but I was doing it because my arm couldn't hold the gun up, but so I was kind of propping it up, and so even I went shooting during that time frame, and I had some of my Marine buddies comment on the picture, like you're holding that incorrectly, Marine, but it was like I know, there's got a bum shoulder here, got to do what I got to do to pull the trigger here. So, but yeah, I love shooting. I love
Yeah.
going to the range. I don't mind it. I'm a life member over at Eldred. Um, so I actually joined the Olean Rod and Gun Club last year, but I just recently canceled here 2, 3 weeks ago because I never go over there. Just too many steps to get going on the range by the time you get there and set up and everything. So Eldred is a lot better. Once you get into the gate, you back up to the range, you pull all your stuff out, you can set up, go put your targets up, go shoot, clean up, and then head back out. It's way easier.
Yeah, it's got the steps out, right? Like just pull right in. You can even have the gun loaded in the car and shoot from
I
the
mean,
truck.
you could, but yeah, not my style. Yeah.
That is Western New York hunting right there.
Yeah.
I've seen it in action.
Yeah.
I try not to be in the vehicle and be a party of it. So I
Uh,
I pick my hunting partners differently now than when I was younger.
you got to.
Yeah,
You got
right.
to be in the paper.
Yeah, right.
Give
Yeah. I'm already in the
us
paper enough.
exactly. Give us something else to laugh about.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, no, this has been fun. Yeah, you're more than welcome. Let's we should make a date for the future. Just let
Hey,
me know when it calms down at work, maybe
yep.
before November.
Yep. Hey, I appreciate the invite, and yeah, I would do it again, and yeah,
Awesome.
maybe I can come back on again before the election and
Yeah.
see how things are going by then.
Right. Yeah. We'll have to drag the council president onto one of these. I'm
That'd
sure
be
he'd.
interesting. That'd be interesting. Yeah,
So
Mr. Blue Eyes himself.
yeah. Right. Yeah. Should do it at a basketball court. Well, two references in one. I'm overdoing it.
Uh, no, we don't want to do that.
All right, Vernon. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on, and everybody out there in TV land, don't forget to go out there, do your homework on your alderman, find out who they are if you don't know who they are, find out who's running in your ward, get a chance to stop by and meet your local introvert, and then don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Life 22. Thanks for coming, Vernon.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good one.